And I'm sorry if you can hear my brothers in the background, but I'm going to share my screen. Everyone can see it, correct? All right, thank you, Candace. And I call this meeting to order at 5:32 p.m. Let me get participant list open. I recognize that Acha is present, Aliyah is present, Joshua is present, Pooja is present, Rahman is present, Siri is present, and Victor is present, as well as ex officio members Candace, Tori, and Mershad. And is there a motion to approve the agenda?
For the amending the, are you gonna amend the agenda to put announcements first? Or is he just gonna say it unofficially?
I was just thinking we could get through call to order first and then have Mershad amend. If that's fine. Oh, Courtney is also here. Sorry, Courtney.
I move to approve the agenda for 9:08.
I second that.
Are there any objections? I see there are no objections, so by general consent, the agenda for September 8th is approved. And I'll pull up the minutes. Just gonna scroll through them like normal. And those are all the minutes. So is there a motion to approve the minutes from September 1st?
I move to approve the meeting minutes from September 1st.
Second.
Are there any objections? I see or hear no objections, so by general consent, the minutes from September 1st have been approved. So I can realize all of this. Can Mershad move to amend the agenda? Okay. All right, Mershad, you're free to amend the agenda.
I don't even know how to amend this. I guess it's an announcement. I move to move up announcements to
real quick.
I'm not sure if this is an announcement. Can I just say?
Yeah, is it about nominating committee?
Yes.
Yeah, I would just add it as an agenda item.
Okay, so I would like to add 5-minute discussion period for nominating committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? I see or hear no objections, so by general consent, we are adding a 5-minute period of discussion on the nominating committee. So let me throw this in here.
Perfect. So to give you guys a little bit of background on what this committee is. So for the judicial branch of SGA, the appeals board and the election board, the process by which the members of those two boards are selected. They have to go through this little committee. It's called the nominating committee, and then they get approved and through Senate, right? But a nominating committee is chaired by me, and it has 2 representatives from Finance Board and 2 representatives from Senate. And our job is basically to nominate students who sit on Appeals Board and Election Board. So I need 2 representatives from this body to either volunteer or just contact me and let me know if they're interested in sitting on nominating committee. And the floor is free to anyone who wants to volunteer. But I just need 2 finance board representatives to sit on this committee.
Sorry, quick question. So basically, the nominating committee, they nominate members for those that don't voted for in the SGA, right?
Yeah, so basically we nominate non-SGA officers, like students that are not our SGA officers, to either sit on election board or appeals board. The first board that we're going to fill is the appeals board, and then we fill the election board later on when we select the election board chair. I hope that answers some of your questions.
Yeah.
And I think it's 2 students, if I'm not mistaken, Candace, it's 2 students for appeals board that we need to nominate, and however many election board representatives.
Yes. So 2 for appeals board. Then you need to nominate an election board chair, who then becomes part of nominating committee, and then nominating committee with the election board chair has to nominate for confirmation election board members.
If you all have any questions or concerns, I'll be answering them. But it's a very low commitment, opportunity for you to do more if you're looking to do more. But I already know you have your hands full, so.
Yeah, Rashad, I don't know if you're looking at the chat, but Pooja said that she could volunteer.
Okay, perfect. So I just need one more representative from nominating. And I don't have access to the chat, so if someone pops up in the chat, just give them.
Go ahead, Candace.
Okay, so there's a question about what is nominating committee and the position. So nominating committee is a SGA committee. There's 2 standing committees on SGA, the stipend review committee and the nominating committee. The nominating committee, just as stipend review, they're both made up of 2 people from the executive branch, 2 people from finance board, and 2 people from Senate. Both of the committees are made up of the same 6 people, but they have different jobs. Nominating committee's job is to find people to nominate for confirmation to the appeals board, and then to find people to nominate for confirmation to the election board. That's their whole job. But that committee is made up of elected officers, such as yourselves. And so 2 people from finance board do have to sit on nominating committee. There will be 2 senators on there, and then 2 people from the executive branch. But their whole job is to find people to nominate for confirmation to the judicial branch. They're like headhunters for the judicial branch.
I need one more lovely soul to volunteer an hour a month to this cause.
Okay, I volunteer to serve on this committee.
Thank you, Acha. I appreciate it a lot. Awesome. Then I will be in contact with you guys regarding that. Thank you both so much.
No problem.
All right, thank you both for volunteering your time for that. As you can see on this agenda, we have some Sahas requests to review, and I have a little practice Sahas with Aaliyah's fake request from the fall retreat. So I was hoping if like the advisors can walk us through the process real fast using Aaliyah's request. Any one of you could go ahead and start that if you're up to it.
Nose goes.
Well, that's rude. My video's off. I have no problem with that. Do you want to pull that up just so we can all look at it together?
Just making sure you can still see it, right?
Yeah, I can still see it.
Okay.
All right. Candace, obviously, feel free to add things. I can be a little too thorough, so if I'm being too thorough, also just tell me to back off a little bit. Let me also pull it up separately myself too. So whenever we're looking at the application, especially with Sahas, it's a little bit different than how we would look at budget requests. So I'm not going to touch on that since we're not at that point yet. And I don't want to confuse anyone yet. But one of the things that we're going to see first is oh, I have hiccups too. I just ate really fast. The information about the student org and who was submitting and the dates. So you can keep scrolling down a little bit. The first thing we're going to see, that's perfect, is the dates. So with Sahas, we want to make sure that they're requesting far enough out. This is where I do forget the details specifically, but depending on when it is and how much they're asking, they have to be asking for those funds X amount of days out. And I want to differentiate, they have to submit that versus be seen by finance board. So a group might have submitted something like 2 weeks ago, but you're only seeing them now. But you would base off the date of their submission. The next thing that you can also see right there too is this a general body meeting? So you do not fund general body meetings. That's just a no. So if it says no, then perfect. You can keep looking at the request. If not, if it says yes, then it's kind of like a nope. Reading the details that come up. So like what are the key takeaways, the timeline, what is happening. Those are all important to kind of also help you see if orgs are being truthful in how they're presenting this. So some things you don't fund are recruitment events, you don't fund fundraisers, you don't fund general body meetings. That we do have a working definition of general body meeting. Basically, if it's something that's just for their general members versus the whole UMBC population is how you would specify that. You can keep scrolling. Has this happened before? Okay, so attendance is the next thing we would look at here. So attendance is important, especially if it's an event that's on campus. All of these would technically be on campus to know how much they're allowed to request. So their estimated UMBC attendance would be 46. You'd multiply that by 33, and that's the max that they can be funded for. Non-UMBC students or faculty, staff, anything like that are not counted in that total. You do not put funds out towards faculty, staff, advisors, or graduate students. You can keep scrolling. So partnerships, they're good to look over. This is just extra information for the event. So a lot of times, not a lot of times, it's in the guiding docs, but finance board has, what's the word I'm looking for, Candace? Preference on things that are partnered, encourages collaborations. Okay.
Yeah.
My vocab today is just shot. So you all encourage collaboration. So look at that to see if they're requesting this with another organization. It's also important to note if they are collaborating, making sure that both organizations didn't submit for the same thing. So that's just a detail to pay attention to. You may keep scrolling. Tickets and charges. So Finance Board typically will prefer there not to be a ticket charge for UMBC students. It's not specifically in any guiding documents from my remembrance, but a lot of times student orgs will charge for tickets for graduate students, for faculty, staff, outside members of the community, which is normally okay. You'll also be able to see if they're using carryover accounts. In case anyone isn't familiar with that phrase yet, carryover account is essentially the bank account that every student organization has. So they each have their own where they can fundraise and put money into that, or if they get donations, anything along those lines. So those are their own funds. A lot of organizations will dip into their carryover accounts to help bring down the cost of the program a little bit. Contracts is the next thing on there, which is a little teaser for, I guess, later tonight. Contracts, you all do fund contracts. However, if there is one, it has to be processed by Events and Conference Services first. So if there's an event that's happening or an organization is requesting for a contract, we have to make sure that ECS has already seen that and has that contract in process, because student organizations cannot, and I will stress this again, cannot create contracts on their own. It has to be through Events and Conference Services. So if it's a contract that they've already signed for themselves and done on their own, that's not something that Finance Board can fund. You may keep scrolling. Marketing. This is really big. So this is where they would ask for stuff from Common Vision. Finance Board has used this kind of as a tell also to see if it's more so general body versus greater UMBC. So this is something you want to see on the requests. It's always really great to see the orgs asking for money for Common Vision packages. 250 is the biggest student org package, right, Candace? 250 for Common Vision. So that's a common number that comes into marketing. We want to make sure that they're posting it on My UMBC, so creating an event on My UMBC to make sure that it's being promoted. Some orgs won't create it until they know that they have funding because they can't afford to do it without it, but they are planning to do it. So event materials is the next section. This kind of, and I think we've already kind of had a little look into this kind of stuff, but this is where you can see if they're doing rentals, if they're asking for items that you can't necessarily always fund, like equipment. One-off items are fine. I don't know what that's going to look like in a virtual setting, but when it comes to, if it comes to on-campus things for the spring, we can talk about that more also. On-campus budget expenditures and event supplies is really just going to be the contracts, decorations. I don't know if decorations will be a thing. That should kind of be about it as far as it goes for virtual. And then at the bottom, you can obviously see the amounts that they're asking per line item. And then you can also see any supporting documentation if that's uploaded. So contracts, receipts, things like that. The only items that you absolutely need proof for is contracts and ECS fees, which isn't applicable right now. If it is for conferences and competitions, that's usually pretty easy for us to verify, but normally they upload those also. I'm sorry, my dog's crying in the background. Collaboration, so if they are collaborating, the other org can sign off on that. The advisor approval only needs to be filled out if that's for travel, so not something you need to worry about right now. And I think that's it. I felt like I did that in one breath.
Well, it was a good explanation, so thank you. So everyone understands like the Sahas process, or at least what the application looks like. Candace?
If we have time, and I'm looking to see if you got any orgs in here, and I don't think you do. we just talk a little bit briefly, if we go back to it, about your review process and then sort of what happens from there as a refresher? Yeah. So like you'll see, yeah, so you'll see there's some reviews in here, and you can all read everybody else's reviews. So like if you click on series, you're going to see her review in here. Because like if you're leaning one way or another about something, maybe you want to read what other people have submitted. So you can X out of that. But your form is the same as everybody else's form. Like go ahead and click on one of the other people, like Pooja's review. She doesn't have anything in there. So like if you click, yeah, I don't know. Oh, it won't let you. Okay, it's fine. But like it's just a blank box, right? That you type in your stuff about the like your recommendation and comments. So there's no like fields other than that text box, and then you have to mark it as complete. And then once you all are ready to vote on this, what Sierra or Aaliyah would do, depending on who's chairing the meeting, you go back to the list of applications. So if you go back to the list of applications, and you would check box it, and then let's see. Oh, you don't have access to it. I have to actually give you access. Or do you have admin access in here, Sierra?
No, I only have applicant and reviewer.
Okay, so I'll give you admin access. But what Sierra would end up doing is moving it from one stage to the next. So, and then once it's moved from review stage to vote stage, it goes to a new form where you would fill out, when you're voting, you would fill out how much you're funding things at, and you would fill out like what the vote record is. So like how many people voted for what. So, and then once you submit that, it would then kick over to Mercado to digitally sign. And then once it's digitally signed, then you can send an email to the student org about their funding status. So that's the second half of it.
All right, thank you both for that quick rundown. Acha, I saw that you had a question in the chat.
So when you put something in the recommendations, the org that submitted can see that, or no, just finance board people? Okay, thank you.
All right, that's about all that I had planned for that section anyways, and it looks like Thomas with mock trials here with us now. Candace, I don't know if me not having admin access and like being able to move it is critical for right now, but okay. Pooja?
I just wanted to ask, so reviews can be viewed by everybody who is reviewing, right? Not just the finance board. Okay.
All right, so now that that's done, we can actually move on to the Sahas requests for mock trial. And as you may remember, they have 3 of them, all for registration fees. I guess we can have Thomas tell us what the thought process behind them were. He can introduce them to us on the floor if you're willing to do so, Thomas.
Yeah, I can do that. So we were just finalizing our fall. We had made requests earlier for other tournaments, but with 3 teams now and having it be online, we're a little bit more able to go to some of these tournaments. So like the 3 there, the first one is from Tufts, their tournament, which would normally be up in Boston. The second one is for Chicago Fire, which we went to last year in January, and that was a really good experience. And hopefully it's replicated online. And then the last one is for another new tournament for us, which is Northwestern's tournament. So another Chicago-based school. So all of these were just finishing fall semester to make sure that all of our teams get an equal opportunity to compete at high-level tournaments.
Thank you, Thomas. Any of the advisors, would this be a time for questions for the org? Okay. Would we have to enter a period of discussion or? All right. I move to enter a period of discussion. Does it have to be for one at a time? All right, we're going to start with FBR-126. I guess if I need to restate that, that's fine.
I second it.
Victor, you second? Okay. Are there any objections? I see or hear no objections, so by general consent, we are entering a period of discussion on FBR-126, and I'll pull up this.
This sidewalk all the way past Street down to the other center and then back around to this side.
We can hear background noise. Okay. All right. So I guess this period of discussion is a time for us to ask Thomas questions, anything along those lines, and for us to discuss the review as a board. So anyone who would like to get us started? Joshua?
Hi, Thomas. My name is Joshua Gray. I'm the Vice President for Student Organizations, he, him pronouns. I have one quick question. I know you guys put on the application the timeline for the event, but I wanted to know if you could flesh out what exactly happens at these events and what the structure of it is.
Yeah, sure, I can go into that. So it's a little bit different for online tournaments. So in years past, it would be days we like get in a van or drive to the location and like stay at a hotel the night before, and then compete twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday. And what that looks like is our team versus another school's mock trial team in basically a simulated trial. Lasts about 3 hours. You do opening statements, each side calls 3 witnesses, and you do 4 rounds of that over the weekend. And then at the end, there's a closing ceremony, and based on how many ballots you win, lose, you get awards and trophies for different people. And then we would drive back. But online, it's basically just going to be everyone like on campus or in their homes logs on to the school's Zoom or WebEx or whatever video service they're using and competes in an online format. And we do that still for 4 rounds. And then at the end, everyone signs on to a bigger Zoom room and they do awards.
Thank you.
Anyone else have comments, questions, discussion points? Acha?
Do you know, do you have like a list of how many other tournaments you'll attend this, can you anticipate how many more you'll have during the semester?
Yeah, so we're requesting these 3 now, and we already had requested for 8. I think, yeah. So that's 11 tournaments spread across our 3 teams, because we try to compete as much as we can, and like people are swapping between teams, but like our goal is for each individual to compete at 4 tournaments in the fall and in January.
When you say already requested for 8, do you mean like in your semesterly budget or through Sahas?
In the semesterly budget, we like in the spring we had like the dates and stuff for those tournaments, so we requested for those. Yeah, and then these are adding on to the ones we already have because we were able to more finalize the dates of everything as schools announced when their tournaments were being held.
Okay, and what was I gonna ask? Have they already sent you updated information about like how much registration fees are per tournament? Do you know if all of the tournaments have switched to virtual?
Yes, all of the tournaments in the fall, like that's the people who run mock trial are requiring that every tournament is online. So registration fees, I don't think for any of the tournaments were going to change, but they did move online.
Okay, thank you.
Pooja?
Hey Thomas, so I just wanted to ask you about the 8 requests that you said you already submitted. Did the funds for those event requests not get rolled back to us? Did you guys not have to reapply for them?
All of the requests for like hotels and that stuff did get rolled back, but the registration fees, to my knowledge, did not.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, great. Cool.
Yeah, if you remember, we sent out a off-campus check-in like event sheet. So everything that's already calculated in that off-campus total that I brought to you guys last week. So it's just purely for registration fees. Rahman?
Hey Thomas, my name is Rahman. Pronouns are he, him, his. So you mentioned that there are 8, competitions that you have for the fall. Are they all the same cost, or it depends on where the competition is? But I don't think it would because it's virtual. Is the registration fees like the same for all the tournaments, or?
No, the registration fee varies widely. It's mostly based on like how prodigious the tournament is, or like because like for example of the ones requested, GAMTI, which is run by the University of Virginia, that one costs $800 because it has like nationals level teams, the best teams in the nation, all competing, and then comparatively Carnegie Mellon's tournament costs $170 just because it's more of like a tournament. That's where our C team will go, a tournament to like help build up teams, but the level of competition is not as high. So the price does vary, but it's based on like who goes to each tournament.
Thank you.
Candace?
I was not ready. Sorry. So I guess for me, the question is less for you, Thomas, and more for the board around like, and maybe more of a point, right? So the request that you're reviewing is this request, and then the other 2 requests. I guess my question is around what is the purpose of asking the questions about the requests that have already been approved? I mean, and that's a legitimate question. And are there other questions about this request in particular? I would encourage you to focus in on this one and review it for its merits. If there's reason to include a continued questioning about the previous requests, I would encourage you to share that with the board so that people know why you're asking that. But I don't know if there's necessarily a connection between the two.
I just have one last question, and it's about, so you said you'll be competing in 11 of them for fall, and 8 of them are already been formed, so we don't have to worry about them. Do you guys have any idea how many are you planning to compete in spring?
So the spring semester's a bit weird for funding and like because that's basically like the quote unquote real competition season when it's regionals and then this dumb thing called Orcs and then nationals. So it really depends on how well we do, how many times we compete. But all of the requests that we're making are basically the invitational season. So like we don't know how many times we're going to compete in the spring, but it's going to be just based on how well we do.
Okay, thank you for answering that. And in response to what Candace said, I think we all get full leave on this one.
I also agree with Pooja, but are there any other questions, comments, concerns, discussion points? I'm not seeing anything else in the chat. So if you guys are okay with it, we can move to end discussion on FBBR-126.
I don't know if that was a motion, but if it was, I seconded.
Yeah, I probably should have stated it better. Not, yeah, I moved to end discussion.
Second.
Tori?
Candace, correct me if I'm wrong, but that should have been a period of questioning, not a period of discussion, because in discussion, only finance board members talk. So it would move so what you were just for moving forward, that would have been a period of questioning. That's when the student orgs are allowed to talk back with you and answer questions, and then you'd move into a period of discussion where it's just finance board members and ex officio to discuss. Opening back up, then you'd open back up for questions and then move into a period of voting.
Okay, and does a period of discussion have to happen?
It doesn't have to, but it probably should, just so you all know where you're at. It's good to make sure everyone feels comfortable talking to each other, and that might just be a yeah, I'm good, or actual like long conversation. But no, it doesn't have to happen.
All right, thank you. I move to end this period of questioning.
Second.
Second.
Any objections? I see her no objections. By general consent, we are ending this period of questioning. Is there a motion to enter discussion?
I move to a discussion for FBBR 126.
Second.
Are there any objections? I see or hear no objections, so by general consent, we are entering a period of discussion on FBBR-126. So if anyone has any discussion points, let me know in the chat. Siri?
Oh, I didn't have any discussion points. I was just gonna like pretty much share my review, or should I wait till later? Is that?
That's fine.
Yeah, I pretty much said we should like fully fund the event. I saw that it was like $25 registration fee, and the total was 200, and it seemed very reasonable. So I recommend fully funding this particular event.
Joshua?
Yeah, just to echo what Siri said, I think that this is a good event. And for me, it's really an event for exposure and for the experience leading up to what the spring semester looks like. I feel like being concerned with the budget of the spring semester necessarily isn't what our focus should be, but like what's the experience that they're having now that's leading up to that. And I think that this is surely worthwhile. And as Siri said, again, it's very, very reasonable in price.
Pooja?
Yeah, I just wanted to say good luck to you guys for this event. It's a reasonable registration fee, and I did look up on the website link that you guys provided. It looks like a super interesting event to be a part of, and so yeah, hopefully you will win.
Yeah, based off of my review, I recommended to fully fund. This is this is the first of probably many requests for Sahas, but I see nothing wrong with a $25 per person registration fee. Anyone else? I mean, if nobody else has anything pressing about this review, we can go ahead and end discussion. So if somebody has a motion.
I motion to end discussion on FBBR-126.
Second.
Are there any objections? I see or hear no objections, so by general consent, we are ending this period of discussion on FBBR-126. So if I go back here, FBL 01-2021, is there a motion to approve this piece of legislation for voting? Candace? Go ahead. Okay.
I move to approve FBL 01-2021.
I second that.
Any objections? All right, I see or hear no objections, so by general consent, this FBL 01-2021 has been approved for voting. Should I have private responses in the chat, Candace? You're muted.
You're muted.
They don't know. They should not be private. It's not a secret ballot, so everyone should type their responses in the chat. And then I'm going to you record the vote in this Google Doc, and then I'm going to kick over the form to you. What was the FBBR on it? Do you remember?
FBBR-126.
126.
Yeah.
126.
All right, so drill is the same. Put your vote in the chat, so all representatives for. All against? I think that was a unanimous vote. 1, 2. Yep. Okay. So the results are 8 for, 0 opposed, 1 abstaining, and 0 not present. And this piece of legislation has passed this day,
Okay.
September 8th. So I'm not sure of the process of.
So this is saved. If you go back into SurveyMonkey and back out of this,
It's gone.
It is gone. Click on continue reviewing. Is there, or do you have it? Is it, where are you? Okay, so go to actually review dashboard at the top. Yeah. So then you have this Sahas one that you need to start. That's you. Okay. And so then you start it. And so it's a little funky right now because it has old fields in here from when we were doing stuff on campus, but you have to record this stuff, this information. So your finance board legislation number, you have to record that in there.
Does it have to be the whole like FBL?
No.
Or can it just be? Okay.
Yeah, it can just be that. It's gonna, yeah, that's right. Okay, then mock trial, and then whatever the request is for. Yep, just pull it straight from there. You got it.
Yeah.
And so these are the common vision one. That's 0. You just put 0 that out because it's showing you like all of the on-campus stuff too. But they would always do that. And so you're trying to get down here to the off-campus stuff. You're going to 0 those out, and then you're going to put requested the 200, and then allocated 200, and then 0 the rest of these. I gotta do some form cleanup on this. And then the total allocation, you want to type that in there, and then you want to record your votes in here.
That is not. Oh my gosh, mouse.
There
Please.
we go. And then any information you wanted to put in there, you could, and then the legislation status is passed, and then mark it as complete. Oh, hold on. What is it kicking to you? Ah, you have to. Yeah.
I really don't know what to say. Just
Yeah, this board voted unanimously to fund this. Yeah. Okay, and then mark is complete. Okay, return to assignments. And so then it gets kicked to Mershad, and Mershad has to sign it. And then once it's signed, and this was what the email that I was talking to you about earlier, Sierra, once it's signed, then I'll train you on how to use SurveyMonkey to send an email to the organization. But
okay.
Yeah. And then you also have to communicate to SABSC that they have been funded for this.
Okay.
But we can talk about that offline.
All right, that's fine. All right, well, congratulations, Thomas. 1 of 3 down. And I guess we can just move on to the next one, which is FBR-127. So if there is a motion to enter a period of questioning.
I move to enter of questioning.
I second.
Are there any objections? I hear see no objections, so by general consent, we are entering a period of questioning for FBR-127. And I'm going to pull up the request. All right, so if anyone has anything for Thomas, let me know in the chat. Or Sydney. Sydney's here as well. Welcome. I mean, if there's nothing for us to, if there's nothing anyone wants to ask, I mean, we can end this period of questioning and go into discussion. Because this is the one application that sparked a lot of discussion for us in a previous meeting. But that's up to you guys. Joshua?
Yeah. Hi, Sydney. My name is Joshua Gray, VPSO, he, him pronouns. So one question, and this is not necessarily specific to this request, so I apologize about that. I just wanted to kind of gauge your previous experience with these competitions and ask, what is the range for the fees that you've seen for these? And of course, they are going to be drastically different because everything's virtually now. But I just wanted to kind of get a gauge of what mock trial normally sees when these competition fees come in.
I would say the range is usually from like $200 to $600 based on my experience.
And that would be per person?
It's for a team.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Questions? Tori?
Yeah, so not as much a question, but more of a point of clarification for the board. Whenever you see this per person in here, you can always tell when it's our previous experienced treasurers and requesters because they know that off campus is on a per person level, so they add that in there just to verify. But Sydney did say that this was a per team cost, so I just didn't want anyone to get confused. They were just trying to do their extra homework there.
Thank you for that point of clarification, Tori. Anyone else? Question, comments? If not, I move to end this period of questioning for FBBR-127.
Second.
Are there any objections? I see or hear no objections, so by general consent, we are ending this period of questioning for FBBR-127. With that, if someone has a motion to enter discussion.
I move to enter discussion for FBBR-127.
I second.
Are there any objections? I see or hear no objections, so by general consent, we are entering a period of discussion on FBBR-127. And I see Pooja is the first one in chat.
I just wanted to remind everybody the discussion that we had last week about the cap. So, like, do we want to discuss it now, later, maybe? Or what are your stance on that?
Aaliyah?
So I kind of thought about this a lot after the meeting, but because I was watching like the treasurer training video, and it just reminded me of like how like stuff is prioritized in our budget. So like as of like COVID, online UMBC events are prioritized like first, and then it's I don't really remember everything, but I know that competitions came before conferences, and then there were like other stuff below that like merchandise. So I think that if we do want to cap stuff, that we need to cap the stuff that is at least priority first. And then like that's kind of like how we should be capping it because like competitions is below conferences. So I feel like we need to cap stuff that isn't as of importance as like other stuff if we're gonna cap stuff. That's my comment.
Joshua?
Yeah, I'm going to be speaking to the request specifically, and I wanted to share a line that really spoke to me, and I highlighted this in my recommendation. But in the other information section, they say Chicago will have a great field of teams that we are excited to face as a last chance to try new materials before regionals. And I really highlighted and lifted that up because for me, it demonstrates how intentional the choice in these requests are. And I appreciate the fact that they're trying to try out these new materials to improve their performance in regionals and other competitions that they go to. I think that's just a very, very good point to make. And I just wanted to lift that up because it was very important to me when reading this request.
Any other discussion points, thoughts, comments? Regarding the application or our previous discussions on the cap. Pooja, if you'd like to make that motion, you may.
So I don't see anybody else having any questions or thoughts or comments on this, so I move to end discussion for FBR-127.
Second.
Are there any objections? I see or hear no objections, so by general consent, we are ending this period of discussion on FBBR-127. And we can go to the corresponding piece of legislation. So is there a motion to approve this this FBL 02-2021 for voting?
I motion to approve FBL 02-2021.
Are there any objections? I see or hear no objections, so by general consent, FBL 02-2021 has been approved for voting. Again, leave your votes in the chat. So all representatives for. All opposed. I only have 6 votes. Is someone not voting or not here? Pooja, may I ask why you're abstaining?
Yeah, definitely. In the review, I did say that belief on this, but I guess after the discussion that we had last meeting, I just wanted to, I just needed more time to think about it. I'm not sure that I should vote in support or oppose. That's why I'm abstaining.
Okay. Is that like a valid reason? Candace, Courtney, Tori?
Sorry, my dogs are all over me right now, and it's been hard just to reach my laptop. Candace, I don't know if this is fully correct, but I'm pretty sure abstentions are just mainly for, like Sarah, how you're only really voting in a tiebreaker situation, or if you have personal ties to the organization.
Okay. I mean, she voted in the chat. So it looks like, let me just count this again. So it looks like we have 7 for, 1 opposed, 1 abstaining, and 0 not present. And the date of passage for this is September 8th, 2020. So congratulations, mock trial. I guess I should go back into survey Matthew, or can that wait until after the meeting?
It can wait as long as you have it recorded.
Yeah. Aaliyah?
I think that the abstaining, because Pooja changed her vote to nay, so wouldn't that be like 0?
Oh, that's me. Because I
Oh,
can't.
okay. I'm stupid. My bad.
No,
Sorry.
you're fine. All right. So we have one more left for mock trial. If anyone would like to motion to enter a period of questioning. Or we could skip it and go to discussion. But Tori?
I said order and I meant to say clarification. So there's that for starters. I do just want to bring up that conversation from last week, as what you all voted to do was not to impose a cap, and you could revisit it later if it was a necessity, not that you have to revisit it later. So I do want to just clarify what you all voted to do.
Yeah. Is everyone okay with that? I mean, it's already done, but just for future reference. Okay. If there isn't a motion to enter a period of questioning, we can enter a period of discussion.
I move to enter into a period of discussion.
Second.
Yeah, okay. Are there any objections? I see or hear no objections, so by general consent, we are entering a period of discussion on FBBR-130. And I'll pull up the application. Joshua?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing that I did for the last request on this one too. Under other information, they say this tournament will be great for facing teams from a different area of the country and give one of our weaker teams a strong field to compete against. And again, I feel like that just shows true intentionality and a dedication to make sure that the entire organization is doing well. Not only are they sending their first team, I'm not quite sure how the internal workings of the organization goes, but they're not just sending the first team, but they're sending their quote unquote weaker team as well. So I think that that's just an awesome sentiment. I appreciate their thoroughness in adding that other information, because for me, it helps in my evaluation of the application.
Rahman, was that an accidental backslash or was that a recognition? Accidental?
Yes, that was. I apologize.
It's fine. Are there any other points of discussion for this application? Aaliyah has a motion to end discussion. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any objections? I see or hear no objections, so by general consent, we are ending this period of discussion on FBBR-130. So we can move to approve this document for voting. So if anyone wants to make that motion.
I move to approve FBL 03-2021 for Wooding.
Are there any objections? I see or hear no objections, so by general consent, FBL 03-2021 has been approved for voting. All representatives for? All against? It looks like we're missing a vote or two, if I can do that. The results are 8-4, 0 opposed, 1 abstaining, and 0 not present. And again, this has passed on this day, September 8th, 2020. So congratulations, mock trial, for having all of these passed. You are welcome to stay for the rest of this meeting, but you don't have to. And with that, we have 2 more requests, but this funding for a contract, they have not reached out to ECS for writing up that contract, so we'll have to table it, as well as Best Buddies, based off of previous discussions and our decision to wait until having David Royer with us to talk about the merchandise and marketing fee. I was advised earlier to table these, so is there a motion to table? I don't know what to call this. Sahas requests part 2, or just
To table the remaining Sahas requests until we have the writers of the request present.
Are there any objections? I see or hear no objections, so by general consent, we are tabling FBL 04-2021 and FBL 05-2021 indefinitely. And as of right now, that's everything on our agenda besides the finance board check-in. So, Pooja?
I thought, I think it was Acha who made the motion, and she said until we have the representatives, not indefinitely. Is there a difference? Just I don't know, just making sure.
No, it was
There
indefinitely.
is. Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Okay, so with that, we can move on to the finance board liaison check-in. Again, this is just a time for you to, bring any updates through liaison system contact to the board, or just, be as a reminder for you all to update it again. Acha?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so a lot of my orgs have just, well, not a lot, but most of them who have replied have been like, we don't really plan on like utilizing the Sahas right now, but they were just inquiring about like spring semester and stuff. And yeah, I need to update that today because these emails came in today. So yeah.
I think it's fair to tell them that you don't know yet for spring, because that's the truth. Spring's going to be based on what the university decides, and that's not really anything that you all have control over. Even if we are virtual, who knows if there will be a lift on if student orgs are allowed to host events or meet off campus. So I'm not saying there's any discussion about that, but the spring is very, very uncertain. Which obviously isn't an answer that anybody wants, but.
Thank you. Got the question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Got the question. If someone does treasurer training, what's it called, for the fall, will it still apply to the spring semester? And I told them yes.
That's correct. Usually they only have to get treasurer trained once. If there's anything changing as far as how the requests are done, we can send that out to them.
All right, any other updates, points of concern for the liaison system? I'm not seeing anything or hearing anything in the chat, so I guess that concludes that check-in. There isn't anything else that's pressing for people, like discussion-wise or anything, that they would like to add to the agenda before we conclude this meeting? If not, we can go into announcements. So if anyone has any announcements. Joshua?
Yes, I wanted to quickly shout out Tori, Candace, and Courtney, but mainly Tori for all the hard work that they've been putting in for Involvement Fest. I was sitting in for a student organization today and then got to go to a few, and it was great. So you guys have been doing amazing.
Thank you.
Aaliyah?
You guys may already know, but we do not have a secretary for finance board, and we are looking for one. So if you have any friends or just anybody who is free after 5:30 would be interested, it's a paid position, so they should apply. Yeah.
I look forward to seeing their application, Acha. Any other announcements? I'm not seeing or hearing anything, so I guess we can go over it and pass the gavel. But for final roll call, let me pull up participant list again. I recognize that Acha's here, Aaliyah's here, Joshua's here, Liam is here, Pooja is here, Rahman is here, Siri is here, and Victor is here, as well as ex officio members Candace, Courtney, and Tori. And with that, I adjourn this meeting at 6:46 p.m. and I'll let Candace stop recording. And I'll stop.